First of all, we have essay structure. Essay structure is absolutely integral to any essay you write. It's important that you present your argument well, and that always starts with the introduction of the essay. So the question that Jung had to answer was, should the law ever prevent people from freely making self-harming decisions? If so, what should and shouldn't be forbidden, and according to which principles? The title really sets the tone, and the introduction you write afterwards sets the stage for your discussion and presents how you're going to answer the central question. Jung does this particularly well, I believe. And then following from that, it's important to develop your arguments in a good manner, in a structured manner, especially for a competition like this where the topics are fairly complex. It's important to have flow between these arguments. For example, Jung does through this excerpt here, where he draws on a particular theory presented by John Stuart Mill, and then alludes to there being exceptions to this theory and its statements. He strengthens his arguments by using evidence, which we'll get into a bit later as well. As an example here, he uses a very real life example, not necessarily evidence in the form of data that you might be used to. And I specifically draw on this excerpt to show that evidence can also be a theoretical or intuitive thing, as long as you make that case well. And lastly, you have the conclusion, where you summarize your main arguments and reaffirm your thesis based on the discussion. And this is what this excerpt here does as well. I think the overarching thing with essay structure is that it's important that you sit down and before you write your essay, you write out an essay plan. And I believe that's what Jung has done to achieve the structure he has in his essay. Secondly, argumentation. Jung presents his arguments very well. He states them, but he also supports them very well as he goes throughout his essay. He provides evidence and reasoning to back up his claims. He talks about evidence both in the sense of academic writing, but also as we spoke about, in the sense of intuitive support. He also discusses the broader significance of his arguments, of why it's not just an academic discussion, which makes arguments stronger, that allows you to show that you understand that what you're discussing has real life implications. And largely, he does really well at using logical reasoning and counter arguments. I think especially here, it's important to underline that counter arguments are not to be avoided. If you avoid counter arguments, the markers of your essay might believe that you're trying to hide weaknesses in your essay. You're much better off mentioning counter arguments and then stating them. Also here, I've inserted a bit on critical thinking. If you're aiming to perform well at a competition like this, you need to learn how to critically think. This means that when you read something by a guy like John Stuart Mill, you need to understand that just because it's said by John Stuart Mill doesn't make it law. You need to critically analyze what you're reading, where is it coming from, why was it written that way. For example, with John Stuart Mill, trying to understand his perspective on legal paternalism in his time period, which would be very different to now, and the discussion that Jung uses it, which is on, for example, Mike Bloomberg's sugar ban in New York. Jung does do this well, but I think it's important that it's something you consider as you move forward, that you read through the essay and think, where is Jung actually doing this? Because critical thinking is not necessarily something you can draw a quote on, it's something that needs to run throughout your essay.